The 19th of September 1628, home at last. The 19th of September, 1628 on a crisp autumn day in the countryside of Switzerland is where this story begins. Amelia Enfield, age 17, was daydreaming out the window while humming a tune on her routine bus ride home from school. She did this every day. Speaking with others made her nervous, as if her peers were going to turn into animals and rip her to shreds if she spoke out of turn, so she kept her head in the clouds instead. The bus halted in front of her family cottage, and as she departed she took a strong breath, knowing that she no longer had to be Amelia Enfield, the shy student. Until tomorrow. She greeted her parents in the yard, as they had been busy gardening all afternoon. "Hello, Mother and Father," she exclaimed as she was always happy to see them. "Hello, Amelia," they answered while her father cut down a bush and her mother dug a hole for the replacement. Amelia's father, a carpenter by day and an aspiring painter by night, used gardening as a way to clear his mind from the draining work day. It also allowed him to spend time with Amelia's mother, a school teacher with a dream of seeing more of the world. "Dinner's ready in the kitchen if you're hungry," her mother said as she placed the shovel on the side of the house and wiped the dirt off of her clothes. "We should be finished shortly." "Thank you, Mother," Amelia acknowledged as she began to approach her bedroom. Amelia laid on top of her bed and debriefed internally about her day. Every day felt like an internal battle for her. She had a best friend and a few close friends whom she leaned on to get through her day. They made her laugh and smile, which allowed for Amelia to relax at times until she was no longer around them and had to either make a name for herself or hide. She always chose to hide. The less she spoke, the less she would draw attention to herself, even if it was for a good reason. While looking out her bedroom window, she daydreamed about a boy she had taken an interest in. This wouldn't have been the first time, however she had told herself that the progression for this interest to become more was solely in her head. Amelia could daydream an entire lifetime spent with someone, but she was too shy to attempt for it to become a reality. She dreamed of a love like her parents' love for each other. One day, she hoped it would happen for her. Amelia ate dinner with her family that evening, hugged them good night, and settled into bed, mentally preparing herself to have the same routine the next day. The 12th of September 1628, the final exam. Months had gone by in this fashion, until the morning of the 9th of December. Amelia and all of the students at her school were preparing for final exams before the Christmas holiday break. Leading up to this day, Amelia had decided that she didn't want to hide anymore, but to have people lay eyes on her. The first few weeks she attempted to speak up in class and to join in conversations with peers who weren't in her circle. It started well until she began realizing that the conversations that she was having were being turned into jokes about her when she wasn't around. The pieces of her shell she had put aside were now being glued back together. She appeared sad each day instead of content, quietly hoping that someone would bring attention to her in this way. On December 9th, the day of her first final exam for that semester, Amelia was provided an exam paper that easily could have fooled her as a court document. She stared blankly at the paper as time passed, contemplating how she would explain to her family that she had failed an exam. Amelia was an excellent student. Her grades at the time should have given her a confidence boost and validation, however the insults and jokes had really taken a toll on her. She questioned everything about herself including her intelligence. In that moment of formulas playing hopscotch on her desk and her eyes beginning to well up, she felt a hand on her shoulder. Amelia's teacher, Mr. Adberry, squatted down to be at eye level with Amelia, and said, "I need you to write something down, Amelia." With a gentler voice, he said, "You do understand this. Just take a deep breath and write down everything you know." This was the first time in a long time that Amelia had felt someone understand her struggle. It wasn't a friend trying to make her laugh, but someone wanting her to succeed. With a soft smile on her face, something she hadn't been able to fake for some time. She wrote down everything that she remembered Mr. Atbury teaching her. Amelia would meet with Mr. Atbury every chance that she could after that. He would explain each concept to her slowly and stop for questions to ensure that she was understanding him. In class, Mia would listen to him as if she were the only student in the classroom. He assured that she would be okay not only in his class, but in life. Mr. Atbury had become a mentor to Amelia, a struggling student just wanting someone to care about her. To the other students, he was a quick-witted man that was strict when necessary, but to Amelia he was a kind soul that understood her. The 25th of February 1629, snow and low. On a snowy February afternoon, Amelia was on her way to meet with Mr. Atbury for their now weekly tutoring session. The meetings made her happy, but she had something different on her mind. The night before, Amelia had let her negative thoughts get the best of her. She sat there, on her bathroom floor, coming down from the effects her anxiety and depression were having on her. In these moments she felt as if the walls were closing in, too overwhelmed with fear and eyes filled with tears to allow herself to find a way to make it all stop. As she walked into Mr. Atbury's office, she immediately sat down across from him and opened her notes as if he wasn't in the room. No smile, no hello, nothing. "Amelia, is everything all right?" he asked. No answer. "Amelia, what's going on?" he questioned, in an even more concerned tone than before. Still no response. He stood up from his chair and sat down at the desk right next to her, placing his arm on the back of Amelia's chair. "Amelia, please look at me," he said in his gentle tone. The same gentle tone that had calmed Amelia down the day of her exam. She finally looked up at him, the inside of her chest tight and her heartbeat racing. "I'm sorry," Amelia confessed. "I feel a lot of pressure and weight on me, from no one but myself. I wish it was someone else's doing because then I would have someone to blame for this. I can only blame myself." As she tried to articulate further, she felt the tears begin to form, her memory going back to her night on the bathroom floor, and she began to slightly hyperventilate. Mr. Atbury could see Amelia's own thoughts causing her to crumble, so he attempted to put a stop to it. He took her hand and placed it in his, and said in his gentle tone, "Amelia, please look at me. I have an idea." End of chapter 1.